Hey guys, it's Olga. Today I'm inviting you along with me as I make this beautiful chicken dinner. It's a butterflied chicken that's golden and crisp, and the rice stuffing is cooked right along with the chicken, so it's cooked all together at the same time, and it looks amazing, doesn't it? I make this so often for Easter, for Christmas dinner, special occasions and birthdays. It's so good. It's very budget friendly. It's not that hard to make. Most of it can be done in advance, and it's both the protein and the side dish in one. The presentation is very special. We have a whole chicken that we're going to spatchcock or butterfly, which means we're going to cut out the backbone, and I'll show you how to do that. It's actually very simple to do. To go along with the chicken, I have rice. I'm using long grain white rice. I really like basmati, but you can use any kind of rice that you like, even brown rice. And then we're going to add some vegetables to the rice. An onion, garlic, carrots, celery. I'm also adding a little bit of grated cheese. Of course, we're going to season everything with salt, pepper, some dry herbs, and we need a little bit of oil to saute the vegetables, or you can use butter instead. First, I'm going to partially cook the rice, and I'm not going to cook it all the way through because it's going to continue cooking as the chicken is roasting. But you can also use already cooked rice or leftover rice in this recipe. It's going to be just fine. In that case, remember that rice triples in size. So for this recipe, I always use about 3/4 to 1 cup of uncooked rice. So triple that for the cooked rice. I tried to find a chicken that's a little bit bigger in size. So this one is 5 pounds. Nice big size, especially when you're making a holiday meal. And that way you can have more stuffing too. And it's very easy to prep it. All we're going to do is remove the backbone from the back of the chicken and then open it up. What that does is it helps the chicken to cook very evenly because it's all spread out in one layer. You're gonna get a golden crisp skin. It's also going to cook a little bit faster that way too. I don't normally cut off the tips of the chicken wings, but the grocery store that we bought this chicken from already did that because a lot of times people think that the wing tips burn much more easier. I don't bother with that. Taking out the backbone can be a little bit tricky if you're using a knife, but when you have a good pair of kitchen scissors, then it's so easy. So we're just going to start right here and then cut all the way down this side, come back and cut down this side, and that's it. So that the chicken would lie flatter, I take the scissors and I put them right here and I cut just slightly so that it lays flat. You don't need to go too far, just like this. And of course I save the backbone and use it in chicken broth. All we have to do with the chicken after it's spatchcocked is to season it with salt and pepper on both sides. Now you can make this as simple as you want with just salt and pepper. You can also use some dry herbs. You can rub it in between the skin with flavored butter. I've done all of those. They're all delicious. Today I'm just gonna keep it very simple. Just salt and pepper. And make sure to season it very generously on both sides. One of the best parts about this recipe is that you can do so much of it in advance. So once you got the chicken prepped, you can put it in a bowl, cover it up tightly, put it in your refrigerator, and it can stay there for up to 24 hours, and then just take it out when you're ready to roast it. Not only does this save you a ton of time later, but the chicken is gonna be more juicy, more flavorful. The longer that it gets to marinate, the tastier it will be. I got all the vegetables prepped, so I grated the carrot, chopped the onion and the celery, put my garlic through the garlic press. So I'm gonna saute it in a skillet until they're nice and tender. I chopped up part of the parsley and the thyme right now. I'm gonna add it to the rice, but I'm gonna save the rest of it to add after the chicken and the rice are done cooking, to add a little fresh element to the rice and give it a little more color too. I have the rice and the sauteed vegetables right here. I'm just gonna mix them together. And I'm also gonna season them with some dry herbs. So I added some of those herbs to the vegetables earlier. I really like this onion salt and this chicken seasoning. I use these for so many things. I've shown them so many times already, but you can use anything that you like or just add the fresh herbs and that will be fine too. I'm also going to add this cheese. This is completely optional. Half the time I don't add the cheese, other times I do. It's gonna make the rice really cheesy, extra delicious. So it's up to you if you wanna add it or not. If you do add the cheese, make sure to cool the rice and the vegetables slightly before adding the cheese. Otherwise, it's gonna melt into one big blob. You want it to be dispersed evenly in the rice. I did salt the rice when I was cooking it. I added salt to the vegetables, so it really doesn't need a lot of salt at all. Plus the cheese is salty, so I'm not going to add any extra salt to my rice, but you can add more if it needs it. And at this point, if you're making this in advance, all you have to do is cover it up or put it in a smaller container so it takes up less room. Put it in your refrigerator and you can just keep it there overnight or up to a day in advance. And on the day that you're cooking this meal, all you have to do is take out the chicken, which is already prepped and seasoned too, take out the rice, and all you have to do is put it together on a baking sheet or in a roasting pan, put it in the oven, and that's all the work that you have to do. I like using a large rimmed baking sheet like this one. I'm sure most of you have something like this in your home. The trouble with cooking stuffing inside the cavity of a chicken or a turkey is that oftentimes the stuffing is deep inside of the chicken, and by the time the chicken is cooked on the outside, the center where the stuffing is not come to a safe temperature. So that is definitely not something we want. Plus, there's a very limited amount of space in there, so you can't get a lot of stuffing. And I know a lot of people will cook extra stuffing on the side. This method is perfect. First of all, we get a lot more stuffing. We'd never be able to stuff all of this inside of a chicken, but it's all going to be cooked in the center right here. And then we're gonna place the chicken on top of it. So the chicken and the stuffing are gonna be cooking at the same time. Instead of waiting for the chicken to start cooking on the outside and then slowly get to the middle where the stuffing is, the stuffing is gonna be right on the bottom of the baking sheet, which is nice and hot, and it's gonna start cooking from the bottom while the chicken is cooking from the top. All of those delicious chicken drippings are gonna intermingle with the rice, making it even more delicious. The chicken isn't gonna be overcooked. If you wait for the stuffing to be at a safe temperature, oftentimes the chicken is way overcooked. But if you cook it just so that the chicken is cooked to the right temperature, the stuffing oftentimes is not cooked to a safe temperature. So this way, it's all gonna be done at the same time. So the chicken on the outside is gonna get golden brown and the rice on the bottom is gonna get golden brown too. But the center is gonna be super soft and juicy and flavorful. Place the rice into the center of the baking sheet and kind of mound it up so that we can place the chicken on top. Basically, you want the rice to be underneath the chicken. Shape it into kind of like a little hill. And then after I put the chicken on top of the rice, I'll fix it. And I'm gonna make sure that not too much of the rice is outside the chicken because it's gonna burn and dry out. And now take the chicken, open it up like a butterfly and put it on top of the rice. So I'm gonna take this rice that's on the outside and tuck it here underneath the thighs. That looks perfect, and it's okay if some of the rice is sticking out a little bit, no big deal, as long as we don't have like a bunch of it sticking out from the edges. I've got the oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna put this chicken and rice in the oven. They're gonna roast for about an hour, but it could be less or more depending on the size of your chicken, on your oven. So I definitely recommend using an instant read thermometer to be sure, because you don't wanna overcook the chicken or undercook it. And a thermometer just takes all the guesswork out of it. The chicken breast should be 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and the chicken thighs should be 175 degrees Fahrenheit. It smells incredible. I'm gonna let the chicken rest for about 10 to 15 minutes before I slice it. And I'm gonna put the rice in a serving dish, add some fresh herbs, and then cut up the chicken. Do you see how the rice is crisp and golden around the edges? And it's also crisp on the bottom. So it's so good. And it's so juicy in the center. It's absolutely perfect. The roasted chicken has a golden crisp skin all around the outside, and the meat inside is so juicy and flavorful. And the rice stuffing is super flavorful too, from all of those sauteed vegetables, the cheese, plus we have all those delicious drippings from the chicken mixed in. It's absolutely divine. It tastes delicious, the presentation is absolutely beautiful, and you can prep almost all of it in advance. Another great thing about a butterflied roast chicken is that it's so much easier to carve. Go to olgasflavorfactory.com to get the printable recipe, and I think you are gonna love this chicken and rice dinner.